Let me see if I can get these comments back up. A man has to show leadership in order to get a woman to submit. Maybe his girlfriend. But biblically, and this could be a topic for another day, but we'll entertain it since it seems like it's what you guys want to talk about.
Right.
Biblically. Oh, Christina wants to hop on. Let's give her a chance to share her thoughts.
Christina.
Hey.
Hey, what's going on?
Okay. So I just wanted to break it down to what it really comes down to. The difference between dating and marriage is within marriage, you become one flesh by having sex with your husband or wife, right? And if that's reserved for marriage, how many things are tied to that? Like I think about submission and I think about how you submit one to another, right? Because you're one flesh and as unto the Lord. But I think about that and it's like, okay, so if sex really is what brings that covenant to make you one flesh, and that's not supposed to happen in dating, you know what I mean? So where do we draw all the other lines? We can't just say, well, like, is she supposed to cook and clean for him? You know, is she supposed to give all these wife benefits to a man that, you know, is not her husband?
Right.
I think that it's okay for him to see that she's capable of cooking and cleaning, you know, like treat him here and there. But because I feel like that's when you get into this gray area of shacking up and, you know, that covenant, that covenant with before God, it just gets messy. You know what I mean? So if sex is reserved for marriage, why is submission not reserved for marriage? You know, why is, like, and if you're dating someone, do you know that you love them like Christ loved the church? You know what I mean? Like, can you expect a man to love you like Christ loved the church within dating when he isn't even really sure of all of who you are yet, right? Like, how can you have these expectations without the covenant? And if you're not ready for that covenant, should the expectations be there? I don't know.
Right. You're absolutely right. Oh, Christian, were you about to say something?
No, I'm saying she just brought up a good point. Without that covenant, how can you expect anything else, right? I agree with that.
And that's why I made the point earlier of, are you really taken if you're not married? Because if there's no covenant there,
Right.
why should there be any expectation for anything else there? You know what I'm saying? And
So,
if there is, then what is the expectation? Is the only expectation outside of, is the only expectation I won't cheat on you? Everything else I don't have to do.
But like, if you're abstaining from sex anyway, like you should expect this person's not going to be cheating, right?
Right.
And so,
well, it depends. Physically,
that's true.
yeah. But what about like anything else, like emotional, like I'm giving my number out, I'm going on dates with other guys. Is that cheating, or is that just playing the, like, how do you?
So I think that's, you know, where you have to have those boundaries and establish, you know, what does our relationship mean? You know, we obviously, if two people who love the Lord and they're serving the Lord come together, it'd be foolish to think that they're not headed towards marriage. Like, why are you dating? To waste time? Right. You know what I mean? So you should really, it should be a courtship. I just saw in the comments that you discussed courtship in this process, and that's what it should be, right? It should be with the end goal being marriage. And so you set up parameters within that, right? And if you feel like it's not, if God is calling you away from the relationship, you should communicate on that. You know, we should really, like, that comes down to just loving each other as brother and sister in the Lord. And if you don't communicate that, then I don't know. I mean, then you got to search your own heart. But you set parameters. You say, hey, this is the goal. We don't know if we're going to end up there, but this is what we desire. We're going to continue to seek the Lord while we head that direction. In the meantime, you know, you shouldn't really, it's hard to focus on the end goal if you are entertaining other people. So I still think that you should be eyes on Christ and walking alongside with that person that you've agreed to seek the Lord for one another. You know what I mean?
Right.
But it's not the same as what comes with marriage. You know, that the type of faithfulness, I guess the loyalty doesn't have to be there because you can leave at any time. And
Right.
I think that's why it's difficult.
Exactly. That's why I say, are you really taken? If there's no, if it's like, I promise, if someone says, I am making a vow, I'm making a vow to stick by you no matter what, except for boom, 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 boom. That's not no matter what.
Right.
All right.
And so that's why I say, I agree with the standpoint of like, you shouldn't be out there saying, oh, I'm going to be looking here, I'm going to be looking there. If you have the intention to marry someone, you shouldn't be doing all that. I agree with that standpoint. The only issue is that, like you said, there's people keep saying in the comments, what about like courtship? What's the difference between courtship and dating?
Dating, right. It's just like a Christianese term, right? Like when we say courtship, that's, you know, we're like, it's dating with a Christian stamp on it, you know?
Right.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
It's like, oh, well, you're getting to know them spiritually, emotionally, blah, blah, blah. But it's like, okay, just like you said earlier, you are not, there's still, it's not just the physical that you're saving for marriage, but there's certain things that you want only your husband to have access to, mentally, spiritually, and everything. And so by giving a piece of that to everyone that you think, I might marry you, is the same thing as doing that physically. It's not the same thing, but it's same concept.
Right.
You know?
Like, yeah, exactly. Like when Christian brought that up, I was like, you're not wrong. You know, there can be cheating that isn't physical. That's what, like, personally, I feel like there should be very strong boundaries when it comes to men and women having relationships in the Lord. If they're courting someone, dating someone, or if someone's married, I feel like men and women should have very strict boundaries, because it's too easy for the enemy to try and creep in and, you know, cause some situations where somebody is going to cheat, whether physically or emotionally. I think, and not everyone feels that way. They're like, oh, we're all brother and sister in the Lord. We should, you know, it's fine. But is it? Like, is it? You know, at the end of the day, if the goal is marriage when you're dating someone, when you become married, are you going to be comfortable with your spouse going, you know, and having one-on-ones with someone of the opposite sex? It's not that you don't trust your spouse, but you know that the enemy is conniving. You know what I mean? You know that he'll creep in. And the second that, you know, you don't let the sun go down on your anger. Let's say that you get into an argument with your spouse, and the next day they're like, oh, I'm going to just go with my coworker, you know, to lunch. Right. Like, exactly. It's like, yeah, that's today, but what you're going to be doing next week, right? There should be really strict boundaries. And I think that when we finally come to a place where we can grasp what marriage truly means to God, a covenant before him and a picture of Christ and his church, when we grasp that, you know, we shouldn't play around. You know what I mean? Like when we settle down with someone, when we decide to marry them, like it till death do us part, you know, like for real. Right. And every day we have to die to ourselves. Every day we have to forgive. Every day we have to, you know, it's, I don't think people take it serious enough. And if you understand the weight of marriage, I think that's when those boundaries should come into place, where you don't go have lunch with a coworker. You're not, you know, having these side conversations with someone of the opposite sex. You know what I mean? So I think the same thing should be practiced in courtship, because courtship is preparation for marriage. However, there's, like you said, the freedom to leave. So I don't have a full answer, right?
Yeah,
like, because is there an answer? Yeah. Like, I don't know.
That's the problem. That's the problem, because it's like coming up with a language, but you don't have any words to correlate this new language with. So that's why it's like, okay, you're preparing for marriage. people say, oh, well, we'll just say dating is preparing for marriage. But the problem is, okay, is it really preparing for marriage? Because in marriage, you don't have the option to do this. So if you're preparing for marriage, then the girl is going to say, oh, well, I don't really feel, I'll submit to you when I want to, or when I think I should trust you. And then the guy is going to say, oh, well, I'll love you when I think I should love you, or when I want to. Right. And so, I think it sets it up to where you almost get used to, hey, in marriage, I should be able to go to the next one if I want.
Which explains the divorce rate even in the church.
There you go.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I think you brought up a good point about intention and communication. Like those two things are like huge in trying to, ultimately get what you want out of dating.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah.
Great question. We appreciate you bringing that question up.
Of course. And I was like, you know what? Let me just join to elaborate on what I meant. So thanks for letting me jump in.
Yeah, no problem. Thanks for coming on.
Yes. Have a good night.
You too.
You too. Thank you.
All right, we got another request coming in.
This is so cool. Hi, guys.
Hey, how you doing?
Doing good.
Good.
So my question is there really any way to prepare for marriage? Because, technically, you really don't know until you get there. Because I'm looking at the comments and it's like, dating is not marriage. There's some things you can do in dating you can't do in marriage. So is there really a way to prepare for marriage? Is there a way?
Zach, you're the married man. Is there a way to prepare for marriage?
I think.
Can I go to practice? Is there somewhere I can practice this and be ready?
There's a place you can practice.
Practice.
Say it one more time.
What is practice?
I would say this is how you practice. My advice would be practice with your family members, because you're practicing doing the loving part of, oh, this person's annoying to me right now, or whatever. You're practicing loving them through that, and you don't get any benefits of the physical. So then when you get to marriage, it would be a lot easier. So if you're used to already doing that, then marriage won't be that hard. But if you're used to always just like all your relationships are, what can I get from this? What can I get from this? Isn't serving me. This relationship isn't serving me, so I need to let it go. Well, how well can you serve the other person? And I'm not saying me and Joel do this perfect. I mean, it hasn't even been a year yet. We're still learning, but I know that we've made strides in our marriage already just from trying to view it from that perspective. And I would say the best practice is practice with your family members, because they're not always going to give back. So I would say practice with them, because you're kind of stuck with them a little bit.
Yeah, for life. Yeah.
So basically you're saying just work on the qualities and characteristics that would be good for marriage instead of practicing marriage somehow.
I'd say that is practicing marriage. Think about it. In the sport, in football, we would go out on the field and we would practice. We would go through essentially a game, especially during fall camp. We'd go through a game and get none of the benefits. We wouldn't get any stats. We wouldn't get any highlights. Right. We wouldn't get anything from the fans. You're going through all of the work part without the benefits, so that when you get to the game, it's easier. It's shorter. It's quicker. It's not as hard. And then you get the benefits too.
Right. Great point.
That's a great point. Well, I don't know how I'm going to find my husband. I want him, if he could just show up on the porch, that'd be great. Okay. I'm not a fan of dating, respectfully. It's not enjoyable. It's really not. And honestly, I'm not really stressed about it anymore, because I used to be stressed about it, but now I really don't have stress about it. But it's like, I have no clue where this man is.
So
but if he can show up on my porch, that'd be great.
What's the thing you hate most about dating?
I get tired of always trying to introduce myself. I feel like I'm saying the same thing to 20 other people. And it's like, yeah, I want to do this somewhere, And And then some guys, I feel like they be lying on God because they be like, "Oh, God told me you my wife." Well, the devil talked too, so maybe it's the devil talking to y'all.
Oh
God,
God.
God didn't tell me that. So somebody lying.
So,
So I'm just like, yeah, I'm not waiting for it.
so what
No.
is it about those guys that you? Because I don't know if it was you or someone else in the comments that said that, you know, there's the guy, there's, you know, those guys just aren't around, or there's the guys that try to pursue you that you're not trying to get pursued by. Were you the one that made that comment? Someone said that? Okay, someone said something about
No.
pursuit, and then they said, yeah, guys don't want to pursue except the ones you don't like. And so
That does sound like something I would say though.
Well,
Something I would say. Yeah, I mean, guys do pursue me, so it's not like I don't have options. But like, honestly, I just look at their picture and be like, yeah, this is not gonna work.
what do you think?
Oh,
It's not
What do
gonna
you
work.
think?
No.
Explain.
I don't know. It's like if I look at their profile picture, if I don't find them physically attractive, then I'm not gonna waste time trying to get to know you because I don't find you attractive. So I'm not gonna go through the whole process. You know, brother in Christ. That's you.
Right.
I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry. I'm not really this cutthroat, but I just don't want to waste people's times because I know like hearts and feelings and emotions are involved, and it's like if I know for a fact I don't see any type of future with you, I'm not gonna waste your time.
Right.
You know, that's just me. I'm just not gonna waste your time.
That makes sense.
So I know a lot of people do that, but I'm just like, what's the point? Like, no. And then yeah, I did the Hinge thing, but it's like, I don't know. I feel like dating now, especially as a Christian, it is hard because a lot of people got Christian in their bio, and then they got like half naked pictures all over their profile. So they ain't, yeah. Where the real ones at? Where the Holy Ghost filled folks at? Take me to it.
So let me ask you this: you have the guy who you're not interested in,
okay.
But, like he's out on the highways and byways, like preaching to everybody, like converting souls and everything. Like he's a fisher. He's fishing for men.
Okay.
But he's not attractive. He's not attractive. And then you've got the guy that has Christian in the bio, and you know he's got shirt off or whatever you said. He doesn't have clothes on or something. But you know he's is that a no for both, or would you be more likely to lean to one?
I don't want either. No, I'm a fisherman too. I'm out here saving souls too. So that ain't nothing to brag about to me. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's like, it's what I'm saying. Like sometimes as us women, like we brag about, girl, he pray and he fasts and he read his Bible. Girl, do you read your Bible? Like we need to start rewarding these men for the bare minimum. I'm sick of it, ladies.
But what about
that?
What about the guys that you're passing up on because you're saying they're not physically attractive enough for you? They might be that perfect guy.
Be some type of like attraction, you know. It has to be some type of attraction. You know, it can't be strictly personality out here. Because it's like, I'm gonna have kids one day, you know.
Right.
Yeah.
So I think that plays a part. It's not the end all be all, but if you really think this person ugly and you got a great personality, then hey, go for it. But that's not my portion.
Yeah.
That's
no, that makes so. What's your thoughts on the topic of? Do you think you're taken, or do you think you're still single if you're not married?
A part of me, I want to say taken, but my question is like, do you want to be taken? Like, that's my question. Like, do you want to be taken? Because at the end of the day, if two people agree, like, hey, we're going to do this thing together and, you know, I want you, you want me, let's just focus on us, then I say you're taken, you know? But if you're just casually just dating whoever, then you single. So I guess it really depends on the scenario. Like, are you mature enough to state your feelings to the other person? Are you and the other party, are y'all like in agreement, or are you on some other page and then you trying to convince someone else to be on the same page? You know what I'm saying? Like, are y'all on the same page? I feel like that's the question. Are you on the same page? Okay. Do y'all both agree to the terms and the conditions of being taken? Okay. I feel like that's the question. So
in that case,
I would say taken. if they both agree that they want to be taken, then I say yeah.
So in that case, you're basically married because you're
No,
agreeing to not be with anyone else.
I don't see that as marriage though. I
Well,
don't know. I don't know. I don't really see that as marriage though.
well, okay. I guess what I'm saying is, if you guys both agree, you
Okay.
guys both make a promise, you want both of them to be people of your word. You say, hey, we're going to get married unless you die or unless I die first.
Oh, we didn't talk about the marriage part. I was just saying, if you just want to like strictly like date this one person to get to know them, you know, because some people they date one person at a time.
Okay.
So I was thinking it as that, like, okay, for this, we're going to get to know each other. I'm going to get to know you. You get to know me. And then if we like each other, then I guess we could do a little bit longer. But if you don't, then you can move on.
Okay. So you're basically saying, it seems like what you're saying is you'll date one person and you'll say, hey, while I'm talking to you and getting to know you, I won't be getting to know anyone else. But someone could come along and I will stop talking to you and only talk to them.
That could
That's
be
the only scenario, basically.
that
Like,
could be that could be. It could be. I heard this term before, and some man told me, "Don't let your boyfriend stop you from finding your husband." So I don't know. I don't know. You know,
Dating is dumb.
man. I don't know.
I've come to that conclusion. Dating is dumb.
It does feel like that though.
yeah.
It does. It gets tiring. You're always trying to introduce yourself to somebody. It's like, yeah, I don't want to introduce myself no more. You good?
Okay,
So-
Christina. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead, Chris.
I was gonna say, so let's say you're in a relationship with a guy. You have a boyfriend.
Okay.
Things are going pretty good.
Okay. How long did you?
And Zach used this example earlier. But you run into someone else that just may be better than what you have now. So are you going to stop talking to this guy to talk to the other guy?
I mean, what do you mean by better though? Like, is he better spiritually? Like, did God tell me someone else was better? Like, I just
let's say
better?
spiritually, he's bearing your current boyfriend. He's bearing a grape, and then this boyfriend is bearing an orchard. He's bearing way more fruit. Spiritually, physically, everything.
So he's everything I want.
He's yeah.
Mm.
Until you see something that has even more fruit than that.
Well, I mean, I guess it does depend on the scenario. But if I really have feelings for the man I'm dating at the time, then I'm not going to leave. But unless like this guy, you know, he over here driving mountains and hilltops for me, I ain't gonna front, y'all. I may go after the other man. I ain't gonna front. I may go after the other man. Cause think about it. Why would I continue dating someone that's doing the bare minimum, right? That's not, you know, doing the most.
We never said he's doing the bare minimum.
Okay.
We just said he's just not on the other guy's level. He's just not. He's just not able to.
I just need to see if there's a real connection between me and the old dude. Because I just feel like if I am dating someone, right, and they're perfect, whatever, and then I see someone else and I see there's more out there, I think it really just depends on the connection I have with them. You know, is it real? Is it authentic? You know, is the Spirit of the Lord telling me run away or go somewhere else, you know? Because it really just depends on the connection at the end of the day. Because, like, I may have a real, genuine, Holy Ghost filled relationship with the other man than the man I'm dating now. But it really just depends on the scenario if there's a connection or not. Because sometimes some people convince a lot of folks are lying on God, telling folks God told me to be with this person. I don't really know. Because if God really tell you that somebody's yours, you wouldn't really have like a motivation to want to leave to find someone else, you know? If it was God telling you that.
Right.
You know? So that's why I feel like a lot of folks are lying on God. I'm like, ain't no way God told you that. Ain't no way. But I don't know. it just really depends. Because, you know, I trust my father.
Yeah.
And so far, he didn't give me no green light about nobody yet. So,
Right.
we'll
There
see.
you go.
Mm-hmm.
Awesome. Well, thanks for joining us again. And, you know, we'll try to, I mean, next week, we're going to give you guys an option of some really a little more controversial topics because I want to get everyone's opinion, spice things up a little bit.
The drama.
Yeah. Appreciate you for hopping on.
No problem.
All right, Chris, let's go ahead and bring you on real quick. See what your thoughts are.
Every Wednesday, we're live.
Every Wednesday.
All right. It's game
And
time,
we share the
y'all
replay
playing.
of this on YouTube.
Y'all
So we'll
playing.
share our YouTube link in the bio and everything, and you'll be able to catch all of this on there as well.
Is that going?
Yeah, he's on.
Is he on?
Yeah.
Okay, I can't see him.
Yeah. So
There's a delay on my end.
where we want to start? Because
Hold on. I think there's a little bit of a delay.
yeah,
There it is. It usually catches up in a few seconds when I bring people on.
Oh, he left.
I'll send him a request. Is he gone?
Yeah.
I'll invite him again. Says he's unable to join. Oh, here we go. He sent a request. Just stay on. If you get on before I notice you, just stay on.
Oh, he's back. We're good.
I don't know. Zach's is kind of loading still.
But Chris, if a woman's with me, she's taken.
Hey, yeah, facts. Hey, bro, I agree. Because
If she
bro,
with
like
me, she's taken. We ain't playing that confusion game.
no, I mean, if you're in a relationship, bro, you're taken, right? And to be honest, it doesn't work that way because you can't be like, oh, I'm single until I'm married.
He froze and then he left.
Let me send him an invite this time.
All right, he's back.
I still don't see him.
Yeah, well, I don't know why it's keep cutting off.
I don't know what it is.
Chris, can you see Zach?
All right, so we good?
I can see you. Zach, can you see Chris?
I can't see him. But you guys go ahead with the conversation real quick. I'm gonna run downstairs real fast. I'm gonna mute myself. Oh, now you're here. Now you're back.
All right, bet.
All right,
now
cool.
we're back. Cool. All right, let's get it.
So what's your thoughts on the topic?
Okay, so first off, like you're definitely if you're in a relationship, bro, you're not single. You're in a relationship. Now, that doesn't mean you're married. That doesn't mean you're necessarily in a covenant, but you're committed to that person. But I think we also need to understand before we even talk about those two options, like there's levels to dating, right? Like dating and just like, oh, I'm out here dating people, like multiple people to get to know certain people. That's one thing. You're not exclusively. So technically you are still single, right? Because you're not exclusive with anybody, right? You're just dating to kind of see, hey, do I like this person? Do I like that person? Do I not? That's the whole point of dating, right? To getting to know different people, right? And seeing what works well together. Now, once you say, okay, I'm exclusively dating this person, right? So like I'm committed in this relationship and stuff like that. That's when you become in a relationship. You're not single anymore. You can't just move like you're single, right? Now, to your point, hey, if God brings somebody or if somebody comes along and you like, man, I feel like that's my wife, right? Then yes, you are out, like you have the right to be like, before you say I do, you have the right to say, you know what? I gotta pursue this and see, right? I gotta see what it is. Now, I think you gotta be 100% upfront and honest with that, right? You gotta be like, hey, you owe the woman that you have been talking to that respect, right? Hey, this is what it is. And yeah, it's gonna hurt, bro. That's the reality of it. It's gonna hurt. But you gotta ask yourself, man, if there's a chance that could be the one, quote unquote, right? Why wouldn't you pursue it and see, right?
Yeah.
All right.
No, I mean, you have a point. I get what you're saying there. I'm just saying I can see how someone could say you're really not taken unless you're married.
I mean, like you said, like C-Love said, like legally you're not necessarily taken till you're married. Because like I said, hey, if somebody come along or whatever, they can still kind of like swoop you up to a certain extent. Now, like I said, I think you got to try to be as honorable and as upfront as you possibly can with that. But yeah, you just gotta. That's the tricky part about it, right? But I still think you're well within your right to, right? Because and I disagree with the fact that somebody said they were like, man, if you you gotta hold certain things back while you're dating, right? This person can't get all aspects of you, with the exception of physically. I disagree with that 100%. Because if you're hiding aspects of you while we're dating, I'm not getting to know the real you. I'm getting to know this facade that you're putting up. And when we get married, I see a bunch of red flags all of a sudden pop up. And I'm like, whoa, this is not the woman I'm like, you know what I mean? Like, I didn't agree to this.
Right.
And that's real. So I need to know, like, hey, I need to know you. The ins, the outs, the bad stuff, the good stuff, the ugly. So I can make an informed decision of say, hey, now do I want to commit my life to this or do I don't? Right? And that could be the hard part about dating. But that's why you're dating, to see, hey, do I want to commit my life to this person? Because once you say I do, man, whatever they pull out the hat, even if they hit it from you, you got to deal with it.
Right.
Right? So, man, we got to talk about if you've been sexually abused, or do you have daddy issues? Do you have trust issues? Or what were your last relationships like? Or this or that, whatever it is. We got to talk about all these things.
I have a question then. Playing the devil's advocate.
All
What about the girl that says, I don't want to let him know these things because it's like you said earlier.
Because he might dip.
You said dating is conditional, which you're right. It is completely conditional. That's why I say, when I say taken, it means like no options for anyone.
Well,
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
But from the standpoint of you saying like you don't want the red flags, what about the girl that says, okay, well, I want to be with him and I want him to accept me. Like, I want to know what it feels like for God to love, like God loves the church, a man to love me like that. So I'm not going to reveal it to him until we get married. And then he'll have to love me like Christ loved the church.
That's manipulative. You're manipulating that man and you're trying to trick him. That's not honorable. No, I'm being for real.
Lying.
That's not honorable, right? Like if you you have to give that man the opportunity to say, hey, I love you, right? Because if he's loving a facade of you, then he's not really getting to know you, right? He's getting to know this facade that you kind of created and things that you hid about him. Now, look, there is a chance that he might not like it. He might be like, nah, that's just not for me. And I know that might hurt, but it is what it is. Like, you know what I mean? You can't go through life saying, hey, I'm going to try to manipulate this to get a man to fall in love with me. And then now he's stuck and it's like, oh, I got him now.
Okay.
No, you got to be.
Okay. So let's get a little more controversial then.
All right, bet.
All right. So let's say, ladies, your opinion. Do you think that you should have to share your count with him if you're not married and you're not engaged, you're just dating? Do you think you should have to share that with them? Or is that kind of like none of his business?
So I'm sure most women are going to say no, right? And most men probably would say, oh, I don't want to know or stuff like that. Me, I'm a little different, right? I think that's an important topic to kind of have. No, for real. I think it's important, it's a topic to have because now I need to know, for me, one, can you be 100% honest, right? Can we be honest about everything, right? That's one thing. Two, I think it's important to say, like, where were you in those seasons of your life, right? Because at the end of the day, if you slept with X amount of dudes or whatever, I got to deal with that, right? All those soul ties that you had, I have to deal with that because now I'm in a relationship with you. So they do matter. People say, oh, it's the past. It doesn't matter. The past shapes who you are in this moment, right? So it does matter. Now,
body count
does that
matters.
mean, huh?
Body count.
Someone said, I don't think the number matters.
The number definitely matters.
It matters to me.
Past is the past, but it will affect life after on, so it should be brought up. And then someone said, well, some people may not be mature enough for the conversation.
Then they get more mature. I mean, you know what I mean? Like that's part of it. You know what I mean? Like you got to understand, right? That's a touchy subject, right? But if you're really trying to get to know somebody, right? The ins and outs of somebody.
This live will be on our. We'll put it on our YouTube page. We'll share it after. If you follow, we'll go ahead and put it in the bio.
Oh, and I think a man just said, as a woman, it definitely matters. It matters with men too, bro. Like, it matters with men too, bro. If your body count 50, 60 and stuff like that, and you expecting her to have 4 bodies, bro, you tripping. Like, I'm just being honest. Like,
here's the thing. With that whole body count thing, I don't even ask anymore because I'm probably going to get a lie anyway. So it's like, what's the point of asking?
You think you'd get a lie if she's a believer?
I don't know.
Okay, I didn't get one comment. Okay. I think I was reading the same one. I was like, what?
I think we were all reading the same thing.
Yeah.
Okay, someone said they do be lying.
No, I mean people lie about, but
believers
I think that's why it's important to kind of talk about everything, right? Finances, history, your traumas, your issues, your abandonment, whatever it is, you got to be able to talk. When we're talking about a marriage, you got to be able to talk about it. Because why would you hide it and then get married and be like, oh, by the way, I got this.
Right. So
it's just not smart. I don't think it's wise. But,
so do you think what roles do you think that you still have to die to? Let's say you're dating, you're in a dating relationship, right? Mm-hmm. Do you think that you should treat her like Christ treated the church, flaws and all? You're willing to a certain extent.
To a certain extent, yes. Right? To a certain extent.
Well, but to a certain extent.
Well, then no. If you want to get black and white, then no. Right? Because I haven't committed my life to you. Right? So, no, if I see something that I'm not like, it's a red flag and it's like one of my non-negotiables, then no. Like, I'm out. And I don't think there's nothing. And nobody going to make me feel bad about that. You know what I mean? If it's a non-negotiable I've always had, and then all of a sudden you pop out the blue and you have it, then sweetie, like I'm sorry, it's not gonna work, right?
Now, okay, so do you think that is that kind of holding part of yourself back? Because now she doesn't know if you can love her unconditionally.
I can't. I'm telling you, I'm not going to. What do you mean? I haven't made that commitment to say I'm going to love you unconditionally. Right. That's when I get on the stand and say, hey, I do in front of God, and I make that commitment and saying like whatever. At that point. Here's how I look at it. At that point, when I get married, now I'm saying in front of God and everybody else, there is nothing my wife can do that can stop me from loving her. Nothing. Yes. In that extreme. Think about all extremes. Nothing. Because at that point, God calls me to love her like he loves me. And he loves me through me sinning, me going to other places and stuff like that. So, therefore, I need to love her with that same kind of intensity. And I only can do that through the Spirit. I'm not saying I can do that with my own flesh. You can only do that through the Spirit, right? Okay. But until I get on that altar and say those words, no, it's not an unconditional love. It's a very that's the whole point of dating. It's a very conditional love. Now, do I think you need to be showing signs of like, oh, I have honor, I have integrity. I'm looking for your best interest. I want to see you thrive and flourish, and I want to help you, cultivate you, all those things. Yes, I think those are important. But like I said, you got to have your non-negotiables. If one of those non-negotiables come up, bro, it's just got to be a wrap. And you can, and there's nothing wrong with that.
Okay. So, and that's how does she know that you're able to do that? Like, what if one of her red flags is I don't know I don't know if he's really willing to accept everything about me. I don't know if he's really going to die for me like he says, because I've never seen him do it to me yet. So I got to know that before I'm willing to go to the next step.
You know how you do that?
How?
By having these conversations and talking about these things, right?
Yeah.
You're only going to do it by opening up and putting it all out there and being vulnerable. You know what I mean? Because you're not going to know if I can be like, nah, you know what, we're going to work through this, right? Or if I'm going to be like, nah, I just got to fall back. Like, that just ain't me, right?
So, but would you say that, talking about something and doing it is harder? Like,
oh, facts. Hey, any relationship you trying to make it work, especially in a marriage, and I'm sure you can vouch for this, it's going to be difficult sometimes. Right. It ain't all going to be peaches and sunshine and rainbows, right? That's part of life. Now, that's a maturity thing that the other person needs to understand. Bro, everything ain't going to be perfect, right? Like, you could try to trade up and be like, hey, I'm going to go get this woman. She got X, Y, and Z, yada, yada, yada. She's still going to have issues. She's still going to have problems. She still have things you got to work with. Now, you need to decide, what am I willing to work through? Right? Certain things, hey, for certain guys, hey, if a woman has a child, I'm not willing to work through that. You know what I mean? Like, for certain guys, that's what they say. Certain guys say, hey, if she had certain experiences, if she had that, I don't want to work through that. And that's their prerogative. That's their life, right? But you got to understand, there's going to be some things you might have to work through, right? Maybe she's not the best. Maybe she can't submit the best. Maybe she's not good in her finances. Maybe this, maybe she not, her work ethic is not 100%, right? You're going to have to work through something, right? And I think I heard this, me and Byron was talking, man. No woman is a 10. No woman is a 10, because it's up to the man. Like, it's our responsibility to cultivate her, right? To bring out those best qualities in her, to make her that 10, to give her the extra 1 or whatever, however you want to break it down, right? So you're never going to get a finished product. You got to work that. You got to cultivate it. If she's not where she wants to be fitness wise, you got to be, hey, come on, baby, let's go work out. Or baby, let me get you on this knowledge. Let me do these things, right? I got to cultivate her and bring out the best things in her, right?
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. What about?
I think it goes both ways with that too.
Facts, it does.
What about the mentality of like, well, you're changing who I am. You're not accepting me for who I am.
Change is great.
I'm a 10. I'm a 10 how I am.
It's about perspective. One, no, you need to humble yourself. Nobody's a 10, right? And 2, like, it's about perspective. Change is good. Or change could be bad. That's how you see it, right? You can look at it and say, oh, you're changing me for the worse. Or you can be like, man, it ain't always nice, but you bringing the best out of me. Hey, when people say iron sharpens iron, what happens when iron hits iron?
Little piece breaks off.
Well, no, sparks might fly a little bit, right? Yeah. I mean, sparks might fly, but that sometimes it's going to be a little sharp sometimes, right? That's refining you. That's making you better, right? So that's just part of the process, right? It's part of the process. You got to know to be like, hey, this is changing me for the better, right? And you have to trust that man, and that's why you got to get a man, a guy that's submitted, that has the fruit.
You got to trust
that's looking out for your best interest.
Right. Now, do you think that she should in dating, that she has to have that level of trust?
Yeah, to a certain extent.
Should the woman submit to the man in dating?
Yeah.
Why do you say that?
Okay. One,
let's give the comments a chance.
Give it a chance. But I didn't say submit your whole entire life to the guy, right? But you need to understand just the dynamic of it, right? You're gonna have to submit in certain things, right? I didn't say get walked over. I didn't say don't have an opinion. I didn't say don't do a whole lot of things. Get that clear, right? But to a certain extent, you're gonna have to show that man that man's gonna have to show that he's a great leader, right? But 2, you also gonna have to show that certain things I can submit and I can follow, and I can follow great, right? And I can be that offensive line that's going to block for you, and you're going to be able to bust it. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like, you got to be able to do that aspect.
But here's the thing, though. Submission, it's not submission if it's something you want to do already. It's only submission when it goes against your will.
Yeah.
So the question is, should she submit her will to your will when she's not married. And I see a lot of comments that say,
No,
heck no.
bro.
I'm gonna,
No, I know all these comments might say certain things, but I'm gonna be honest. I'm gonna be 100% honest, right? We're gonna keep it real. I think for the right man, any woman gonna like that woman is gonna submit.
I disagree. I'll give my
If
reason
she's
why.
been, hold on.
Let me give my reason why.
All right.
Okay. Would you say that Jesus loved perfectly?
Yeah.
Would you say God loves us perfectly?
Yep.
Yeah.
And we still don't submit.
Would you say he leads us perfectly?
Yeah.
Do we submit to him?
No, not always.
Not all the time.
So the reason that I say that if there is literally the perfect leader out there, I disagree with the notion that there is something in a woman's DNA that just says, oh, my natural sin nature is going to turn off if this guy's doing his thing.
That's what I'm talking about, though.
I'm not saying you're saying that, but I just want to clarify for the people in the comments that say things like, oh, well, she'll submit if he does his job, she'll do her job. It's not a guarantee. It's not a guarantee.
I agree with that.
Either will do their job. But I did see, I want to pin this comment real quick, just so it's not
because they're rolling through.
It's yeah. Once we brought that up, it's just boom, 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 boom. Let me pin this. So you agree? So it seems like what you're saying is she should kind of like every now and then try to submit, and then he should every now and then try to die for her, so that they can see what it would be like. Is that what you're saying?
I wouldn't even say it like that, because I think now you're making it so black and white. Like, it should be a part of your character, right? As a man,
right.
Your leadership, the way you lead should be a part of your character. You should learn how, and if you don't know how, you need to learn how before you get in a relationship, how to be a good leader, right? And as you're a good leader, naturally, and I don't mean naturally, like if the woman has been training in the way you've been training on your side, right? She's gonna wanna, for example, run through a brick wall. Hey, if we talking pregame, bro, and you giving a speech and you've lived a certain way, you worked out a certain way, and your teammates know your work ethic, they're gonna be like, man, let's go do it. Man, who we going against? We going against Alabama? Let's go tear them down, right? That's leadership, right? Now, if the woman has been doing her part in learning how to submit, learning what things to look out for, how to, being a good helpmate, so many different aspects, right? That's a woman's plight, right? Then she's going to be like, you know what? Man, I have no problem with that. Like it's not even an issue, right?
Do you ever have an issue with submitting to God?
I mean, yeah, sometimes. I mean, I'm a human.
Then she's going to have an issue submitting to you.
Yeah, sometimes she will. Right? Sometimes I have an issue submitting with God, right?
Right.
But it's not, but that's what I'm saying. You gotta look at like what's the ultimate goal, right?
Yeah, but don't you think that some men are just natural like leaders, and then on the opposite end, some women are just naturally just more submissive, and that just shows when you're dating them?
I think it's more of but it's a trained behavior though, Sila. Like you can learn how to be a good leader. Now, some people it might just come a lot easier for some people, right? But you can learn how to be a good leader.
Yeah,
you can
learn how to be
submissive.
Right.
Right.
There are some people that are just more naturally, they're just born leaders. That's what they do.
But even look in different cultures, bro. Certain cultures, like women are like raised to do that, right? To be crazily submissive, right? So it's not like certain type of women can't do it.
Hey,
right?
It may kick us off in a minute. If it does, we'll come back on. But go ahead.
You know what I mean? It's not. It's a learned behavior. So it's a. And people love saying like the submission thing, like with women is hard, and yeah, it is, right? But I say this all the time. Like God is calling us to die for our wives, right? Yeah. Like submitting is one thing. I'm not downgrading it. I'm not saying it's easy at all. But God calls us to die for our wife, and that means literally and figuratively, right?
Right.
So that's not and then people put so much like people don't understand like the burden that comes with leadership, right? I think a lot of people, and I'm gonna say it. There's some women out there.
I had to jump in because I'm seeing these comments, and it's not true. I'm not.
What are
I
they
don't want
talking
to be
about?
the bad guy here, but I'm already married, so I'm not worried about it. All right. So
What are they talking about?
I see a lot of comments. We've got a minute, 50 seconds. It may cut us off.
All right.
We'll come back on if it does for everyone there. And I see you in the waiting room waiting to come on. I'll bring you on too. It says, if I'm in love with him, I would have no problem submitting to him. The disciples were in love with Jesus. You're
Right.
in love with God.
Right.
You don't always
that's not
submit to
accurate.
him. It's hard to submit to him. And so it's hard to do that. Just it's hard to do both. So it's like me saying, oh, well, if my wife just submitted to me all the time, well, I would love her. Sometimes she does. And sometimes I don't want to love her. Sometimes she doesn't, because I'm not perfect. I'm a flawed person. That's why we need God in the relationship. But that's so you can't have this idea of, oh, well, I want to submit if he's doing the right thing. And then you find yourself saying, oh, I don't really feel like submitting. Well, he must not be doing the right thing. Sometimes it's on you. Sometimes it is on you. And so that's accountability, that's spiritual accountability and ownership that we have to bring on ourselves, men and women. You can't just blame, you can't say, I don't want to do my role, and that's because they're not doing their part. When we get to heaven one day, when we stand before the throne, he's not going to say, how did the other person do their part? You're going to be there by yourself, and he's going to say, how did you do on your part?
Right. Absolutely.